Hi, it is Oladele again, still talking about implementation research in Module 1 and describing what implementation research is. In this chapter, which is chapter 2, we'll be discussing how implementation research lives up to the promise. In this chapter, we shall discuss home management of malaria and community-based interventions, which are two illustrative examples of implementation research. We start with the home management of malaria. Due to lack of access to health facility, most malaria episodes are first managed at the home, using medicines that are purchased from itinerant vendors and from local shops like this one. Treatment delays, incorrect treatment, poor quality drugs are common, leading to poor management outcome of malaria. Sadly, many children die within 48 hours of the onset of the symptom of malaria. The prompt use of effective anti-malaria medicines close to the home will alleviate this unpleasant consequence brought about by lack of access. In the 1990s, TDR studies showed that 1. Adherence to treatment improves when malaria is prepackaged in unit doses such as this. Quality of treatment also improves when trained community-based providers are responsible for service delivery close to the home. The drastic reduction in child mortality due to malaria is clearly demonstrated in Burkina Faso and Ethiopia when this approach of prepackaged anti-malaria was used and community-based providers were trained on how to deliver the service. Let us now discuss how this research was carried out. Come with me. Although all the studies that were done on home management of malaria were separately conducted, they have all the attributes of implementation research, and they had research teams that were multidisciplinary. Like in any implementation research, the study objectives was clearly defined. In this case of home management of malaria, the study objective was to test a strategy for prompt and appropriate home management of fevers in children. The specific objectives were also clearly stated. In this case, the operational feasibility of delivery of prepackaged drugs. The drug of choice at that time was chloroquine. Another specific objective was caregiver compliance with treatment regulations. The research teams were interested in assessing that. Other objectives that they had, which is typical of implementation research, is community attitude with respect to prepackaged anti-malaria drugs, which would be new when tested. Overall, the proportion of children receiving prompt and appropriate treatment for febrile illnesses would be measured. These were objectives that all the teams working separately in different countries had. The operational feasibility of the strategy for home management of malaria was reported. The researchers found that it was operationally feasible, and they gave reasons for that. 1. The methods of selection of the community distributors of the prepackaged drugs was important aspect to the operational feasibility. They noted that the community members that took part in managing malaria at the community level saw it as a personal service to the community. They saw themselves as particularly responsible, and these were well captured during the implementation research. Implementation research will not let these types of reporting go by unnoticed. Community attitude, which is one of the main objectives of the study, the home management of malaria studies indicated that the community were very happy with the prepackaged drugs. One, the drugs were available when required within the community, very short distance. They didn't need to travel too far to access the drug. So accessibility problem was immediately solved. And the availability issue was also solved. Unlike what they were used to, where they had to travel long distances to access drugs, that one was removed. Availability issue was also removed. It was also found very simple and culturally very acceptable to them. The messages teaching them how to use the drugs that were packaged in information, education, and communication messages, they were also very acceptable to the community. On the other hand, the community distributors had to fill new forms, and often they are not very happy with that. Most community distributors and the players, the service providers at the community level, just want to get the job done. They want to give the intervention to community members that require them as they were trained. The additional work of filling out forms, cards, are usually found very burdensome for them. And that usually is the reason most of them ask for incentives. In all the 4 countries, there was an appreciable improvement in the proportion of children that actually receive prompt and appropriate treatment with a prepackaged drug for the management of malaria, a major objective of the study. As a result of these studies, which were actually based on chloroquine, now extinct, home management of malaria became a policy in many countries. Many countries have adopted the home management approach, and they are using it for artemisinin-based combination therapy is the other. Many manuals have been produced to support home management of malaria. This demonstrates how implementation research moves from the concept of identifying the implementation problem, using research to solve that problem, and ensuring that there is an uptick of the findings into policy, which is used to improve the quality of implementation by removing the initial hindrance to the use of efficacious interventions. You will recall that the study started as a strategy for improving the uptake of chloroquine using prepackaged chloroquine medicines. Soon after, this was proven to be feasible, operationally feasible, acceptable at the community level, and scaling up was being done. There was a change from chloroquine to artemisinin combination therapy, a new drug. So, implementation research had to come in as well. And implementation research was used to test, will the same strategy that was used for chloroquine be feasible, acceptable, and will it be effective for artemisinin combination therapy? That was proven to be yes, it was feasible. The excitement following that led to, could we use the same strategy of home and community-based community management strategy? Could we use it for identifying and managing pneumonia, which is another childhood illness. So implementation research was used to test that. And lastly, rapid diagnostic test kits were incorporated into the management of malaria. With it, there could be evidence-based malaria management, which used to be done in the health facility. And the question was, could community members use the rapid diagnostic test kit to identify malaria and then be able to refer non-malaria cases to the health facility? It was implementation research that was called upon to answer that question. So the evolution has systematically moved from prepackaged chloroquine to the use of rapid diagnostic test kits for evidence-based fever management. That's typical of implementation research, always evolving. Thank you for listening. We go to the next one, where we'll be discussing another implementation research example with community-directed intervention. Thank you for listening, but don't go away. Let's go to community-directed intervention. Thank you.